Welcome to a cozy hobby suggestion video, which is so exciting because I have so many exciting cozy hobbies to suggest for you to try, especially if you're the type who gets anxious really easily, who you get really bad anxiety and you're a bit afraid to start something new. These are all things that I really recommend that work very well for me. So the number one cozy hobby that I really suggest you to try is indoor plants. So indoor plants is really cool because sometimes, I know it's very stressful sometimes when you're not used to plants, but there are plants that are so easy. Like the devil's ivy is one of my favorites because it is so easy to maintain. I water it once a week and it just grows, barely with any light. Like, wow. And then there's also this velvet leaf philodendron that is very similar in that it is just continuously growing and I'm not doing anything with it. Like, I know cozy hobby means you got to do something, but it's fun to just even propagate it. Like when it grows to a certain point, you can propagate it. You can just look at it. It's so fun. Like I love just looking at my plants inside, and you can like make copies. I mean, that's the same thing as propagating, obviously. But what I mean is like you can make propagations, have some outside so that they can always be in a natural environment so that you know that, okay, if they don't do well indoors, you have one outside that is still might work. And then if you have one outside, you have one inside. Then you're like, okay, so if I accidentally forget about it outside and kill it, at least I'll have a backup inside. So it's always really fun to do many propagations of one plant. Once you have it, it grows and it gets really easy. And I find that indoor plants are so easy to propagate compared to some of the other stuff, like, you know, some of the stuff that just seems impossible. I've always been so bad at propagating, like roses, for example, always die on me. But the indoor plants are just so easy because I think the roots just grow really easily. So it is so much fun. And also, one of my favorite things is to propagate a plant so that I can share it with my friend. It's like, oh my god, we're so excited to share the love of plants. So that is one of my suggestions. Even if you're not good at taking care of plants, just don't buy those really expensive rare plants and then like put them inside and expect them to thrive. Like there are lots of anthuriums that are very for advanced level, and I would not suggest having them if you've never been good at it. But I have them and they're doing really well outside. They're just not in the house, but I find that they don't do as well inside the house. So it really does depend on what plant, and some just do really well. And like those two that I just mentioned are like you can't go wrong with them. So try them. Seriously, they're so good. Number two hobby is I really suggest getting into different kind of Lego sets, like especially like mocks and different cozy sets that are just feel good sets. For example, Animal Crossing is something I really love. I love the mushroom house. I know that's very hard to get your hands on, but it's like one of my prized possessions. Oh my god, the mushroom house. And then there's also mocks, and one of my favorite designer is called Oso Jang. He does a lot of different like architecture mocks of like different apartment buildings. There's one that looks so freaking cozy. I can just imagine myself sitting in that apartment and living my best life. That's why I love it. It's kind of like the same thing as a dollhouse. You just like look at it and it feels like you can be living in it and just makes you feel good. Like it's just so exciting. And there's also the seafood restaurant that I also really love that he did. The apartment is one of my favorites. There's also, he did like 4 of them that I really love, and there's also Starbucks ones as well. So those are the ones that I tend to go for because I'm usually don't do Lego for the city stuff or the you know, a lot of the stuff I don't do the Lego for, but I just love the aesthetic buildings and I love anything that is like cute cottagecore. I feel like the Minecraft is really good as well. They're really cute and like just aesthetically pleasing to me. So those are the ones that I would go for. And it's really relaxing when you don't pressure yourself to do it in a certain way. It's relaxing to build Lego. It's like, oh my god, I'm just like doing this and that. It's like, oh, so cool. So the next thing I'm going to suggest is for you to get some coloring books. I am never the person to want to draw things on a piece of paper. I tried and it's just gets stressful after a while because I hate that I don't draw very well and it just bothers me. So I tend to do it on the iPad, but coloring is a different story, especially if you're coloring things that are already labeled with numbers with like this color this and that. I find that really relaxing because I just think it's so much fun to just sit down and not worry about getting it perfect. Like, to me, hobby should be fun and relaxing and not stressful. So I love the coloring pages because they a lot of times would label out number 4, number 5, number 6, you know, for the different colors, so you can just get the color and color in the line. Like, it's just, that is, to me, is a lot less stressful than like just trying to draw a picture. So like, to me, I shouldn't even say the lot less stressful. That should be stress-free, you know what I mean? Like, it's just something I totally recommend for you to try. So coloring books. Another hobby that I suggest, number 4, is collecting something that you really love. I personally love collecting stickers, I love collecting mugs, and I love collecting jewelry like earrings and rings and things like that. They're just some of my favorite things to collect because looking at them makes me so happy. Mugs are my favorite things. Like, I think starting a mug collection is like something that is just so fun. Like, and when you think about a hobby, it can be like collecting things, right? Like, I used to spend a lot of money doing collections of cards that like kind of got me really broke, and that's not something I would recommend if you don't have a lot of money. Like, especially cards that you just have to go blindly open packs. Like, I've wasted a lot of money on those. However, with mugs are different. Like, you'll know what you're buying, right? And then it's so much fun because you get to go to different places, find the mugs. That's one of my favorite things, is to search for the mugs in different shops. There are lots of like cute little gift shops nearby me that has like these adorable mugs. One's like that shaped of a tree and there's a little bird on it, and there's mugs that have the most cozy pictures. They're cat mugs. I love mushroom mugs as well. Handmade markets, can't even talk properly today. Handmade markets are brilliant because there's always so much different handmade mugs there, although they're a bit more expensive, but still it's worth it. Like, sometimes when they just save for a whole year to go to that bloody handmade market to buy some mugs. So yeah, I just love starting a collection because there's nothing more fun when you're sitting down and you're looking at your collection and it's like growing. It's like, oh my god, look at it. Like, I have so many cute earrings that I really love. So that's something I really love doing. Number 5, I couldn't believe that I only learned about this like recently, but junk journaling. Where was this my whole life? I spent most of my life trying to figure out how to bullet journal because I just couldn't figure out how to do it perfect like they do in the videos or pictures. When I saw bullet journal, it was all this carefully lined pieces of artwork, and I'm just like, I can't do this. Like, this is impossible. I can't get it right. I can't do it this perfect. I'm gonna waste a whole journal. So what I end up doing is I try doing it and it looks really bad, or I think I made a mistake and I chuck the freaking page. I just rip it off, and that's how all my journals end up with less and less page over time. And then there's a lopsided section where this has less pages than the other side. And then eventually I'm like, this journal is too crap, and then I throw it. Either that or I write it a few times, don't like my handwriting, and I just don't ever do it again. Junk journaling is different because junk journaling to me is all about collecting the little pieces of paper or things that are very, very memorable. For example, you got tickets, you got different receipts. Sometimes you get receipts. I don't get receipts a lot of times, but there are still stores that give you the receipts. So I collect those. I have packaging. Packaging is one of my favorite things because a lot of times you find that you waste the packaging by just throwing it out. Like, especially when they're cute and pretty. There's like candle packaging that sometimes I want to buy a candle just for the packaging because it's so cute. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't want just to have a box of packaging because that just seems like a junky. How about let's cut off all the pretty packaging, business cards that you collect, because I collected business cards, and all the different pieces of things, like pieces of physical paper thingies that you would usually throw because you just don't want to have it around, but you don't want to throw because they're so cute or like they have some kind of art that you like. how about let's put it in a junk journal? Now that is going to be so memorable to look back. And the greatest thing is you don't even need skill. You just, obviously glue, just stick it on. Let's just stick it on, and you maybe like label it or write a few sentences about it. But that's all you need to do. And I love that because I don't worry as much about making mistakes because it's a junk journal anyway. Like all the examples I've seen are just messy, and that's what I love about it. I hate feeling like I can never do something as good as others, or that their stuff is so good that I can never get to that point. That's how I feel my entire life, and I just want to prevent anyone else from feeling that, because it's something that's like deep rooted in the brain, and it's very hard for you to just get like come out of. So when you do the junk journaling, it is awesome because you get a piece of, you get whatever journal you want. It doesn't even have to be an expensive journal, just blank journal, anything. Just put some glue on the pieces of paper, stick them all in, just make them look as presentable as possible. And you can write a label. You can even make fun of your own silly mistakes. That's what I do. I've made like little remarks about something, and sometimes I misspell words, and I'll put a circle around, go like, ha ha ha, look at me, I spelled it wrong or something. Or I try to draw something and it looks really silly, so I just kind of say, this looks like a sausage instead of a jelly bean, you know, something like that. So it's kind of fun to just not feel pressured to that you have to do it perfectly. It's all about just allowing yourself to make mistakes. That's why I have a lot of problems with these hobbies that just seem like you have to do things perfectly. Like I just feel that so stressed when that happens. So that's why I'm always looking for the hobby that doesn't require any kind of stress. Like it's just so fun. So another thing I'm going to suggest is for you to make a video and like keep a little video diary of your life. And no, you don't have to share it. You don't have to send it to the world. You don't have to get a certain amount of things out of it. Just do it for fun. Because, you know, when I think back about years ago, I spent 2 years of my life living in America. And right now, I really sometimes want to see what the shops were like, or what the surroundings were like, or what my old the dorm that we stayed on looked like. But sadly, I can't look at anything because I didn't take any videos. And I just regret the 2 years I spent not filming much. And now I'm looking back going, I would have done anything to just keep a little video diary so I could look back and that's part of my life and go like, oh wow, this happened. And I don't even need anyone else to see it. I just would have loved to see it myself. And I hate that a lot of times video making has to do with stress of how many people watching it or whatever your value. Just do this thing for yourself because you love it. That is one of my favorite things to do, and that's why I've always loved making videos. When I was a teenager, I've had a camcorder. I ran around the freaking neighborhood with my friends who, like, some of my friends, like one of my friends was a next door neighbor, so we hung out and I would write a freaking list of scripts of things for them to say, and then I would be like, film it, you come in the door this way and then you talk about this. So we would like do this and it was fun. It wasn't all about getting views. It wasn't about like making money. It was just fun because it was something creative that we love doing, and I recommend doing that if it's something that you've always wanted to do. Just do it for fun. Please don't worry about the stresses of getting it right or being good enough or whatever. Just do it for fun. The thing I'm going to suggest is probably something that you all know and do anyway, but I'm just going to say it just in case because it's something that I love, and that is certain games. Oh my god. Ever since I started playing Stardew Valley, my life has gone from sometimes I don't know what I'm doing to on top of the world. I just feel so good and happy because it gives me this freedom to create. And I love creating farms and rooms and decorating. And sometimes I don't have the resources to do that in real life. So it's so much fun to even imagine you live in a giant farm and you have all the pigs that you want and the chickens and even blue chickens, and you just can create this little world that you call your own, and you can it's so fun. I love that. It has to do with my love for pretend play. Like I feel like I've always loved that kind of stuff. I loved doll houses when I was young, so doing a game like that to me is so much fun because I just feel like I'm actually really there and it feels real to me. So I really love that. I just love things like that, like those simulation style, and Animal Crossing of course is one of my favorites, but Stardew Valley is something new that I only discovered like last month, and I am obsessed over it. And I've spent hours of happiness on this game, and it's something that I feel like everyone should know about and play, because it is, well, of course there's like things about the game that you got to realize that you don't have to do things in a certain amount of time, because otherwise it gets stressful. And to me, it's all about having like a free limit. Like, don't worry about getting things done in a specific time. Just do it in your own pace, because you're going to go years and years into the game and there's going to be no rules to say you have to get it done. So I just love spending like a whole season just decorating. That's something I've done before and it's really fun. So that is one thing I absolutely recommend as a hobby, is to get into these games like Stardew Valley, my favorite. Another hobby I suggest is to go thrift store hunting for really cool things like decor, books. Thrift store is like thrifting. That word is a very interesting on my tongue. Thrift store is one of the most exciting things, because every single time you go there, you might get something different. You may not get the same thing. It's a surprise, and that's what I really love about going into a store where you don't know what you're going to expect. Whereas sometimes you go into a store that you know what's going to be there. You're like, okay, yeah, it's just going to be this and that. But when you go to a thrift store, everything's different, and everything, you could see something completely new, and it's so exciting. I just love it, because every time sometimes I'll find so many cool little things and trinkets and things that I love, decor pieces, everything that is like for such a good price. And other times I might not even find anything, but it was just fun looking at it. I love that. Like, it's just so much fun. So wherever they are, just make some time every week or every 2 weeks or even every month to go look for it. It's always so much fun. Like, to me, there is nothing more fun than finding something that you weren't expecting. To me, that is just so fun and cozy. So one of my favorite things is drawing. However, since I was a little kid, I've had trouble with just making things look right. I hate it when I don't draw well. I hate it when things didn't look nice. And because of that, I had a hard time putting my pen down on a paper. That's, even now I have trouble because of my high anxiety and my perfectionism. I just feel like I gotta get it right. However, I absolutely suggest that even if you don't have a lot of money, spend about $10 to buy Procreate on your iPad with an iPad pencil. That is going to be life-changing if you are creative and you love drawing sometimes, but you just feel anxious about getting it right. That app has changed my life. I don't use it all the time. I go weeks and years even without using it once. That's only because I have other things I'm doing right now that I'm also loving. But when I am using it, it's so awesome because it's so easy to like erase what you've done, retry it, redo it, and improve it, trace over your own work, whatever it is. It's so much more fun for me than stuffing it up on a piece of paper and wasting the page. To me, like, nothing makes me more anxious than that. So, and what is really fun is you can design something and have the freedom to erase it all the way you want. Like, and you know, when you erase it with a piece of paper, sometimes you erase it too much time so that there's all these lines and it just looks horrible, and then eventually you just have to throw out the page. With the iPad, you don't have to do that. It doesn't work like that. So you can erase all you want, and I just find it so much less stressful. And it brings out the creativity in me without the stress, and that's why I call it a hobby, because I feel like one of the most important things is for hobbies to not be stressful. Because there are many times in my life where I've really love doing something and somehow I give myself this silly stress that is not even real. Like, I just put this random stress on myself to say, if you don't get this done in a certain way, life's gonna be over. Like, and I'm just like, what? Because I feel like a lot of anxious people do that. We put pressure on ourselves. Oh, we have to make a piece of art every day. Oh, we have to do this because we've been doing this. So we have to keep it up. We have to do this and do that and do this. And a lot of times that is the worst trap to put ourselves in, to make something that used to be fun into work and into stress. And your body is going to know that, and your body is going to say, this is stressful, I don't like it anymore. So that's why a lot of times you find that hobbies no longer is fun and it becomes stressful because of this pressure that we put ourselves under. And when you think about it, a lot of times nobody's holding us hostage and say, you have to draw 1 picture a day, or you have to get things done perfect, or you have to do this, you have to make 3 pages of journal every day. There is no pressure that you have to get a certain amount of things done. That is something I have to learn, and even learn now, that I have to make sure that I'm not just going to do like, oh, I'm going to get into it and then I'm going to do it every day. But sometimes you just need a break, and that's fine. That's fine. Please don't put yourself under this pressure where you have to do something, otherwise all these consequences will happen. It doesn't matter. Even if you are making, like I do, I make videos about things that I enjoy. Like sometimes I might not enjoy it for a while and I just, just move on to something else for a while. Don't pressure yourself with things that you just sometimes need a break, and that's okay. That is okay. Don't worry about keeping other people happy or things like that. Just take all the time you need. That's the important thing. I find that the hobby is just like, a lot of times when you feel like you have to get better, when you have to get good, or you have to get to a certain point, is when you have this pressure to perform, and then that becomes just stressful. So these are all things that I feel like shouldn't need that performance like stress. Let's just do it however we want and just do it for ourselves and let the results be for ourselves, like not for anyone else, but for ourselves. And it's just fun to kind of do. So that's one thing, because I'll always remember, this is like the most saddest thing that I can share, is I loved doing the Lego, because there was a shop that's very close to us that sells individual pieces that we could hunt and just collect for our mocks and projects. But for some reason I put this stupid pressure on myself that I have to go in the store every day, otherwise people will be disappointed. Oh, I'm not spending money. Oh my god, what if they get disappointed that I'm not going? To the point where I feel so pressured to show up every day that I burn myself out. Imagine if I didn't feel that pressure, I'd still be enjoying it. But because of that, I just got too pressured, and that's just so sad, because I loved that hobby and I loved it. But now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to think, okay, other people have their lives. Why are they gonna care if I show up or not? They have a lot of people going there. It's okay. It's okay. So I just have to remind myself that this is for myself, and I am in charge of whether I go or not. So whether I do this or not. So that's very important. So I have another hobby that I absolutely suggest, that I absolutely love. This hobby is to plant and grow and harvest your own herbs, because I love doing herbs. I love drying them. There's actually it's a lot of fun. Before I knew how to do it, I was like, oh, it's too hard, I don't want to do it. But once I got the hang of it, it was so much fun. And let me just show you some examples. This is my herb for red clover. Red clover is really good for hormonal imbalance and everything. And this is balm of Gilead. I don't actually know anything about it. I just bought it because it was new. And then I was like, oh, that's interesting. So yeah, these are 2 of my jarred herbs. And all I did was I bought the plant. Sometimes you can get them online, sometimes you get at the local nursery. Whatever it is, they're usually really cheap. They're like $4 or $5 or $6. And then you get them, you plant them, you dry, you let them grow, then you harvest them when they get big. And you make sure you continuously harvest them, because when you just don't harvest until the end, they'll just die. They'll get to the end of their cycle and they'll just die. So it's important to keep harvesting, because the more you do that, the more they grow. At least that's what I find. And then when you finish harvesting them, you either hang them dry somewhere in the house, which is really easy. You just hang them with a string or something, hang them around, and they'll just dry on their own. Or you can put them in a dehydrator, which I also love doing, because sometimes when its humidity is too high, it does not dry properly. And then just chop them up, put them in a jar, and there we go. It's so easy. And I also put a little bit of a silica gel inside each jar so that they don't dry out. I mean, no, wrong. So they dry out, they stay dry. We don't want it to not dry out, because then they will mold, and you don't want to that to happen. So that's one thing. I just love doing that, and herbs are such fun things to take care of, especially when you don't have a lot of space. Just little you can even just put them in a pot and just hang them somewhere. As long as they have some sun, they're really happy. Just put them in a pot and you'll just find that if you harvest, they'll just keep growing. So you don't need to wait for it to be a big bush or something. Just harvest those little herbs and then make your own little herb, and then you can even make your own herbal tea blend, which is really cool, because think about when you're brewing tea and you're using your own blend. Oh my god, it's so much fun, and it's really fresh. What I find that a lot of times the herbs that you collect from your own, almost dropped the jar, the herbs that you collect from your own yard is a lot fresher. Like example, here we go, here's an example of the red clover, and it's still got its little bit of purple, and you wouldn't really see that if you buy it. A lot of times I find when I buy it, it's all brown, but when you do it yourself, a lot of times it retains the color because you do it when it's still fresh and everything. So yeah, that's something I suggest to try, is to just get into like growing your own herbs and harvesting to creating your blends. It's so much fun. I personally am not a reader. I think it has something to do with my ADHD. I find it very hard to focus on a piece of text. I still like collecting books though, but I just don't like to read. What I find really helpful is getting audiobooks, because they are just something I can listen to. Like I can do other stuff when I'm listening, and that's one of my favorite things. I didn't realize how much of a difference it can make, where I'm just like listening to an audiobook and just like be able to hear what they're saying. It's so awesome. Like I feel like I never would have struggled so much with all the things I had to read if I knew about, or if audiobooks existed back in the day, because I've had years and years of trouble reading. I just hated it. Like I envy people who just want to sit down and read a good book and then relax. I just can't concentrate. Like I feel like I read one part of the section and then I lose that knowledge and then I forget, so I never catch on to the rest of the story. So I find reading to be very difficult. However, listening is a whole different thing. You just, a lot of times when people were speaking, and these days I feel like audiobooks are getting better. They've got a lot more like feeling to it. Like a lot of times the author themselves will read out the book. So it feels like you're hearing that person tell a story, and it's so good, because I just couldn't believe like all the stuff that I couldn't read, I couldn't concentrate reading, I've been able to get the knowledge by listening to it. So my favorite thing, this is like one of my favorite things to do, is to sit down somewhere like on a train or on a bus. I love those things because I don't have to drive and I don't have to concentrate. I don't have to worry about where I'm going. Sit down and I put headphones on with a good audiobook or a long podcast or something like that. It feels so good, and I'm playing my Switch game at the same time. That has to be heaven to me. Like just, it feels like nothing in the world beats that kind of relaxation. I know some people might prefer to be like in their house, maybe just in their little room if they don't like to go out. I love to sit on a train. To me, that is my favorite place to be. And also on a bus. I love sitting on a bus because I just love seeing the road. I just love it. But you can do that anywhere, really. And another place I think would be really cozy is like in a restaurant booth, if you can find it, because sometimes they don't really exist. So you just have to find a good place for you to relax. But the combination of listening to something, playing a cozy game, and being in a place that you love has to be the greatest three things that I can imagine put together. So try that if you can. Now this one, not everyone may enjoy doing, but I think it's really fun, as that's to write your own story. Like, you don't have to be a good writer, of course. Like honestly, when I started writing my own story, I kind of wrote like just the chronological order of my life events, and it was not even good at all. But I kept writing and I kept improving and I kept getting clues from there's actually a lot of different apps that can help you with writing. And there's also a lot of apps that can read out what you write so that you could, like, you know, sometimes it's really funny when you get a narrator, that's a word. I cannot believe I cannot even say those words. To read out what you've written. It can be really funny, it can be really like interesting, but it's just a fun experience. Like I feel like we should all write our life, because a lot of things that happen in your life I feel like are very important and could really help someone else, and it's a shame that nobody gets to ever like hear about it if you just, you know, don't write about it. I feel like it's important, even if you don't think about getting it perfect or publishing it, it's still really fun to just write it down, just so you have this little document. Like, to me, I love just remembering little things that are funny and or memorable or really important in my life. And a lot of times you'll find that you'll forget very important moments, even when it's so funny on that day, when it's so hilarious, it's so memorable, but over a year or two, you'll just start forgetting about all these things. And it's important to me to actually document all these things down. So that's why I love writing, even if you just write in a diary entry format. Like, there is no, like, don't worry about this, oh, you have to write in a certain way for it to be good. Don't worry about any of that. Just write, like, for the sake of just remembering things. And, you know, one day you could take it further, but it's just fun to write. I just think it's very important. Now, the next hobby that I suggest is, like, I haven't done this in years, but I used to do it and I loved it. And that is to create a website and a blog. These days I tend to do videos because that's just what I love doing. But I used to have blogs for almost all my interests, especially for shows, for different TV shows that I love, and different, like, I had a food blog. It was so much fun, and it's so much creativity goes into it, and I loved it, except I kind of burned myself out by trying to do too much, but that's like a thing that I just have to learn. But one thing that I just love is writing blogs, because again, a blog is like, you can share your interests with other people, and you might find a lot of good friends by just writing about things that you're passionate about or you love. And, you know, the things that I used to have a website dedicated to different Chinese shows that I really loved, and I absolutely loved working on it. It was so much fun. Later on, I actually stopped doing all those sites because I just had trouble with the host, and like, I moved countries and I just started to focus on other things, and I just didn't really have time for the websites. But there was a time in my life and that was like my number one most fun thing that I did, was to make websites. And to, like, you don't even have to be like good at coding. You can just use a pre-made template. You can use WordPress. There's so many different ways to do that. These days you can even just have your own channel or social media account or Instagram. Like, you can still write. It's so much fun. It's like kind of like the same thing, but I really loved making the websites because I was able to put so much creative energy into it. I used to make comics for like different things, like just taking screenshots from different shows and putting them together and making hilarious, like, you know, just like making it into a funny comic. And I would talk about different things, similarities between shows, differences, what I really loved about it, what my favorite quotes. These are all things that made me feel so excited, and that was like one of my favorite things. When I was younger, I had a fan site for some of my favorite shows growing up, and that was amazing because I was able to meet so many wonderful people through that website, because you'll find a lot of people will visit your website, leave messages on message boards, and back then there was like tag boards and guest books or emails, like people could email you, and it's just so cool to meet people that way. Like, I am very introverted. I don't like meeting new people in that I don't go around and just say, hey, how are you? Like, let's be friends. I'm not like that at all. But when I find people that I connect with that have similar interests, oh my God, I am so happy, and I feel like I've really hit the gold mines. I'm thinking too much, like gold mines, yeah. And it's so exciting that when I can make friends that way. So it is such a good way to like show your creativity. There are so many things you can do in a blog. Like, you don't, like, video making is my passion at the moment. That's why I do that. But before I was comfortable, you know, being on camera, I was so happy to just make websites because I was able to write things I love. I had so much fun coming up with articles and things. It was amazing. And you can actually earn money from it, from Google Ads. And believe it or not, I used to make money from my food blog, which I was just making up recipes every day. It was so fun until I forced myself to make a certain amount every day, and then I kind of got stressed. So once again, the lesson here is just do it without any kind of time constraints. Do it without any like self-inflicted like rule that you have to do a certain amount every day. That's all things that will kind of just burn you out eventually. So I really think like as a hobby that is fun. Like that was what really kept me going when I was in my younger years, like my late teens and early 20s. I absolutely love doing that. I personally haven't done it yet, but I have bought a few kits, so I'm just like saying this just looks so fun, but I have not tried it yet. However, I do want to, and I would love to document my experience doing it. But these freaking dollhouse kits are so cool. Like the real life ones, they look so realistic. There's nothing that makes me more excited than seeing miniature things. And I'm not a DIY person, as in I don't like to make things from scratch a lot of the times, but if you give me a kit, I think I would really love that. So I got a lot of these kits. I'm just looking for the right time to do it, but try them. Like sometimes you can get them on Temu for even cheaper price. Like don't think, oh, like if you screw up you're done for, which is something I always thought. Just get like maybe 2 of the same thing so you can just work on it without worrying, oh, you're gonna ruin it or something. I just love the way they look when they're done. Like my favorite ones are like some of the cozy book nooks. They just look so great like when they're built, and the instruction, like everything does not look too hard, so I'm really eager to try it, and I suggest like that could be something really fun to try out. But do check sites like Temu Roll Life first. They're cheaper than, like sometimes you get ones that are really expensive and you don't want to spend like $500 on one that you are not sure of if you're gonna be good at doing. So try some of the cheaper ones first before you get into the more expensive ones, because you just want to be able to like know that you can do it. That's at least how I feel. Like I feel like I need to try it out, make sure I can do it before I just get one of those very expensive kits. All the cozy hobbies I can think of at the moment. I'll definitely make follow-up videos when I can think of more, or when I've tried some of them and share with my experience. But I do want to just emphasize on one thing, and that is, when you're thinking about a hobby, you got to think of it as a hobby rather than a job, or you got to do it to get certain results, because that's what's going to cause stress. And then the hobby that you used to love is likely to not be enjoyable anymore. So that's very important to remember. When you're doing these things, do it for the fun of it rather than, oh, you have to make money from it, or you have to do well with it, or you have to like sell it to someone or anything like that. I feel like all of those things could just take away the joy. So before you even think about like, oh, turning a hobby into something more, then just enjoy it and like just learn to really love it first, because there are a lot of things that I am so afraid to start that I haven't done it yet, that I want to, that I feel like I would enjoy it, but I just haven't gotten into it because I'm just nervous about it. So just remember to take it easy and just enjoy the process of it, and don't do it for anyone else. So hopefully you have got some good ideas for the hobbies that you can start today. Let me know which one's your favorite, and what are your favorite hobbies that you love doing. I'd love to hear from you.